Thank you. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gora Bhakta Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gora Bhakta Jnana Shalaka Chakshurmitame Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Padamaham Dadati Swapadam Satam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savhadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Ravita Shri Vishakam Vitam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagapate Gopesha Gopika Kantaram Namastu Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamani Haripri Vanchakalpatarodhescha Kripa Sindhya Eva Chapati Taranam Pavane Vaishnavi Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sadhguru Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Om Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Pristhabhutiri Prabhupada Priya, Shri Giridhara Swami, Subhakshara Ras Vihari Mrityum Nisratma. Om Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Pristhabhutiri Shri Giridhara Swami Makinami. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharine, Nirvishesha Shunyavani Paschat. Mukham karoti vachalam pankum langayate girim yatkipatamaham vande Shri Guru Dinatari. Hare Krishna. So we are reading from Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila, chapter 17, text 22-27. So we completed the story of the Chankazi. So now let us see what's the next adventure. Ekadina Shrivasera Mandire Gosani Nityananda Sange Nritya Kare Dui Bhai. One day the two brothers, Lord Nityananda Prabhu and Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, were dancing in the holy house of Srivas Thakur. Shrivasa Putrera Tahan Haila Paralok Tabu Shrivasera Chitena Jammilu Shok. At that time, a calamity took place. Srivas Thakur's son died. Yet Srivas Thakur was not at all sorry. Vrittaputra smukhe kahila gyanera kathana apane due bhai haila Srivasa Mandana Srivas Nandana. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu caused the dead son to speak about knowledge. And then the two brothers personally became the sons of Srivas Thakur. Let's read this, okay? Who wants to read?
I can read Mataji, if that's okay.
Yeah. I'd like to see and then hear both.
Okay. Yes, Mataji. Should I say now?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. This incident is described as follows by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his Amrit Pravaha Bhashya. One night, while Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was dancing with his devotees at the house of Srivas Thakur, one of Srivas Thakur's sons, who was suffering from some disease, died. Srivas Thakur was so patient, however, that he did not allow anyone to express sorrow by crying, for he did not want the kirtan going on at his house to be disturbed. Thus, kirtan continued without a sound of lamentation. But when the kirtan was over, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who could understand the incident, declared There must have been some calamity in this house. When he was then informed about death of Srivas Thakur's son, he expressed his regret, saying, "Why was this news not given to me before?" He went to the place where the son was lying dead and asked him, "My dear boy, why are you leaving the house of Srivas Thakur?" The dead son immediately replied, "I was living in this house as long as I was destined to live here. Now that the time is over, I am going elsewhere, according to your direction. I am your eternal servant, a dependent living being. I must act only according to your desire. Beyond your desire, I cannot do anything. I have no such power." Hearing these words of the dead son, all the members of Srivas Thakur's family received transcendental knowledge. Thus, there was no cause for lamentation. This transcendental knowledge is described in Bhagavad Gita. Tatha dehantara praptir dhiras tatra namuhyati. When someone dies, he accepts another body. Therefore, sober persons do not lament. After the discourse between the dead boy and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, funeral ceremonies were performed, and Lord Chaitanya assured Srivas Thakur, "You have lost one son, but Nityananda Prabhu and I are your eternal sons. We shall never be able to give up your company." This is an instance of transcendental relationship with Krishna. We have eternal transcendental relationships with Krishna as his servants, friends, fathers, sons, or conjugal lovers. When the same relationship are pervertedly reflected in this material world, we have relationships as the sons, fathers, friends, lovers, masters, or servants of others. But all these relationships are subject to termination within a definite period. If we revive our relationship with Krishna, however, by the grace of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, our eternal relationship will never break to cause our lamentation.
Yeah, so this is a very basic philosophy, right? And it's almost like something beyond reality. And we don't believe this, right? Whatever is described here, we actually don't believe it. And therefore, we go on, we are suffering. Like the body is breaking down. We know death is coming out. This young boy, he dies. And we thought that maybe Mahaprabhu will revive him. No, funeral ceremony rites was performed, meaning he died, right? So no miracle happens. So this is like the reality of being in this material world. And we heard that we are here for a definite period. We are together for a definite period. And of course, now we are thinking this is very like so nice. What said servants, friends, fathers, sons, conjugal lovers, and all these relationships. But actually, all these relationships cause us so much pain. When we are together, we just fight and hate each other, right? At the same time, we want these relationships. We are not able to live without these relationships. So, I mean, specifically in Kali Yuga, it's very painful. So we are not able to believe there's actually a different realm of existence where these relationships are perfect. So that's where we stand, I guess, most of us. Okay, text 230. Tabita karila sabha bhakti varadan uchishtadiya narayanira karilo saman. Thereafter, the Lord charitably bestowed his benediction upon all his devotees. He gave the remnants of his food to Narayani, showing her special respect. Narayani was a niece of Srivas Thakur, and later she became the mother of Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur. In this connection, the Sahajiya cite a malicious story that after eating the remnants of Lord Chaitanya's food, Narayani became pregnant and gave birth to Vrindavan Das Thakur. The rascal Sahajiyas may manufacture such false statements, but no one should believe them because they are motivated by enmity against the Vaishnavas. Indira Radha, you got your hand up? Okay.
No, I was just reflecting on you said relationships are painful, right? In this world. But losing relationships also are very painful. It's all right to cry. It's all right to to feel pain. I mean, unless you become like stone-hearted, then you don't feel any reaction.
Yeah.
So how do you balance them? Whatever Krishna is saying is good, is right, but still we are in this world. I mean, when you look at the Pandavas, when they were losing their children, etc., they were lamenting.
Yeah, yeah. Yes. Yeah, that's the reality of this world, right? So it's painful to be in this world. When we have, we lament. When we don't have, we lament also. You know, in both cases, like we are not able to survive without relationships. If nothing else, we want friends. You know.
Yeah, we can't survive alone.
Yes. Yeah. So that's why.
Even Krishna, when he comes with all his associates, be
Yeah,
able to
he's
reach.
showing
Yeah.
us the real relationship. What I'm saying is that we are not believing in all this. You know, who among us actually believe that there is a spiritual world with Krishna and there are all these relationships? Who among us actually believe?
We do.
You know?
Do.
Exactly.
It is kind of very remote.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
It's remote, and this relationship is here.
Yes.
For
Yeah.
now.
So that's the problem, you know. That's the problem. So we are looking forward. We are looking forward that maybe when I leave this body, I will enter that abode and I will establish that relationship. So, but actually, the relationship has to develop now itself, not tomorrow, right? Not after we die. The relation. Anyway, as we continue to study this Charitamrita, we start having glimpses of the actual spiritual world because Mahaprabhu will exhibit those. Will actually exhibit those from the material to the spiritual world. And his close associates also will exhibit those visions. And yeah, we don't just, the reality is that we don't just jump from here and wake up in the spiritual world. We are transferred from where we are into the spiritual world, even from our material bodies. It's a transition. So the more we advance in our spiritual life, the more we have that experience of the spiritual relationship, and then we wake up in the spiritual world. We die here and we wake up in the spiritual world, but the experience is already here in the material world. Otherwise, we can't make it. But I was just making the point that how difficult it is to actually accept all this. Right, so text 231. Shivasera Vastra Sinye Daraji Yavan Prabhutare Nijarupa Karela Darshan. There was a tailor who was a meat eater. He was Yavan, but was sewing garments for Srivas Thakur. The Lord, being merciful to him, showed him his own form. Dekhinu bali haira pagala, preme nritya kare haila Vaishnava agala. Saying, I have seen him dancing in ecstatic love as though mad. He became a first-class Vaishnava. There was a Muslim tailor near the house of Srivas Thakur who used to sew the garments of the family. One day he was very pleased with the dancing of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Indeed, he was enchanted. The Lord, understanding his attitude, showed him his original form as Krishna. The tailor then began to dance, saying, I have seen. He became absorbed in ecstatic love and began to dance with Lord Chaitanya. Thus he became one of the foremost Vaishnava adherents of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Yeah, this is what I'm saying. You know, like we get that vision, like this tailor, he got the vision of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he saw. So this is exactly what I'm saying, that we don't just, be here and then we die and we wake up in the spiritual world. From here itself, the transition happens. We have the experience of Krishna. Text 233. Aveshete Shivase Prabhu Vamshita Magila. Shrivas kahe Vamshi Tamara Gopi Harinila. In ecstasy, the Lord asked Srivas Thakur to deliver his flute. But Srivas Thakur replied, your flute has been stolen away by the gopis. So Mahaprabhu is living in two worlds. He's living in the material world and he's living in the spiritual world. And it's like they are like merging, clashing. Text 234. Shuni Prabhu Bala Balena Aveshe Shivas Varlena Vrindavana Lila Rase. Hearing this reply, the Lord said, go on talking. Thus Srivas described the transcendental mellows of the pastime of Sri Vrindavana. Text 235. Prathame te Vrindavana Madhurya Varnila Shuniya Prabhura Chitte Ananda Varila. In the beginning, Srivas Thakur described the transcendental sweetness of Vrindavan's pastimes. Hearing this, the Lord felt great and increasing jubilation in his heart. Tabe bala bala Prabhu bale var var puna kahe Srivas kariya vistar. Thereafter, the Lord again and again asked him, speak on. Thus, Srivas again and again described the pastime of Vrindavan, vividly expanding them. Okay, Shashi, you want to read? Your voice is breaking. Can you check your connection?
Yes. How to please attract to forest?
No. It's breaking. Anupama Mishra, are you able to read? You're muted.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, that's good.
Text 237. Vamshi Vadye Gopi Kanera Vane Akarshana Tana Sabara Sange Yaiche Vana Viharana. Srivas Thakur extensively explained how the gopis were attracted to the forests of Vrindavan by the vibration of Krishna's flute and how they wandered together in the forest. Text 238. Tahi madhye chhaya ritu lilar varnana madhupana rasotsava jalakeli kathana. Srivas Pandita narrated all the pastimes enacted during the 6 changing seasons. He described the drinking of honey, the celebration of the Rasa dance, the swimming in the Yamuna, and other such incidents. Text 239. Bala bala bale prabhu sunite ullas, Srivasa kahena tabe rasa rasera vilas. When the Lord, hearing with great pleasure, said, "Go on speaking, go on speaking," Srivas Thakur described the Ras Leela dance, which is filled with transcendental mellows. Text 240. Kahite sunite aiche pratah kal hoila, Prabhu Shri Vasere Toshi Alingana Kaila. As the Lord thus requested and Srivas Thakur spoke, the morning appeared, and the Lord embraced Srivas Thakur and satisfied him. Tabe Acharyera Ghare Kaila Krishna Leela Rukmini Swarupa Prabhu Apane Haila. Thereafter, a dramatization of Krishna's pastimes was performed in the house of Sri Chandrasekhar Acharya. The Lord personally took the part of Rukmini, the foremost of Krishna's queens. Text 242. Kabhu Durga Lakshmi hoy, kabhu Vachit Shakti. Khate Vasi Bhakta Gane Dila Prema Bhakti. The Lord sometimes took the part of Goddess Durga, Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune, or the chief potency Yogamaya. Sitting in a cot, he delivered love of Godhead to all the devotees present. Text 243. Ekadina Mahaprabhura Nritya Avasane Eka Brahmani Asi Dharila Charane. One day, when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had finished his dancing, a woman, the wife of a Brahmana, came there and caught hold of his lotus feet. Text 244. Charaner dhuli se lay var var, dekhiya prabhura dukha hoila apar. As she took the dust of his lotus feet again and again, the Lord became unlimitedly unhappy. Purport. This holding of a great personality's lotus feet is certainly very good for the person who takes the dust. But this example of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's unhappiness indicates that a Vaishnav should not allow anyone to take dust from his feet. One who takes the dust of a great personality's lotus feet transfers his sinful activities to that great personality. Unless the person whose dust is taken is very strong, he must suffer the sinful activities of the person who takes the dust. Therefore, ordinarily, it should not be allowed. Sometimes in big meetings, people come to take the same advantage by touching our feet. On account of this, sometimes we have to suffer from some disease. As far as possible, no outsider should be allowed to touch one's feet to take dust from them. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally showed this by his example, as explained in the next verse.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I got lost. I lost the connection. I'll have to read it again. No, I lost the connection.
Okay.
Stay connected. Yeah, so Mahaprabhu became unlimited and happy. So why? This holding of a great personality's lotus feet is certainly very good for the person who takes the dust. But this example of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's unhappiness indicates that a Vaishnava should not allow anyone to take dust from his feet. One who takes the dust of a great personality's lotus feet transfers his sinful activities to that great personality. All right. unless the person whose dust is taken is very strong. He must suffer the sinful activities of the person who takes the dust. Therefore, ordinarily, it should not be allowed. Sometimes in big meetings, people come to take the same advantage by touching our feet. So Prabhupada, they want to touch Prabhupada's feet because they know he has a very powerful personality. So they want to touch his feet, and they know that they are giving him his the karma, Prabhupada is saying. On account of this, sometimes we have to suffer from some disease. As far as possible, no outsider should be allowed to touch one's feet to take dust from them. So Prabhupada is saying that because of this, people touch the feet of the sadhus. So he has to suffer some type of disease, Prabhupada is saying. My God, so risky to be a sadhu, right? So I'll read it again. One who takes the dust of a great personality's lotus feet transfers his sinful activities to that great personality. Unless the person whose dust is taken is very strong, he must suffer the sinful activities of the person who takes the dust. Therefore, ordinarily, it should not be allowed. Sometimes in big meetings, people come to take the same advantage by touching our feet. Also, my grandma said that Prabhupada allowed disciple to touch the feet of the spiritual master, but not outside people. That the disciple who has surrendered. So it's very, very very special if spiritual master allow, that his lotus feet is touched. So one day when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had finished his dancing, a woman, the wife of Brahma, came there and caught hold of his lotus feet. So anyway, this thing are happening. Mahaprabhu, who doesn't allow any woman, to come close to him, and here, this wife of a Brahmana came forward, right, and grabbed his lotus feet. You have something to say, Amrita Radhe?
Mataji, just a question, like actually in North India, Punjab region, like it is a tradition that out of respect, younger children or younger people of the family touch the feet of elders. So,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
the intention is not to pass the sinful reactions. It's just,
Respect.
what do you call it? Respect.
Respect. Yeah,
So,
yeah.
in that case, also that thing will go, as in sinful reaction will have to be suffered, or
No, here, this is something very calculated. Here, this is a sadhu, so they know the sadhu is very potent, right? Extremely potent. And just like they go and take bath in the holy rivers, right? Say they remove their sinful reactions. Or they come to the temple, they give some donation to remove their sinful reactions. So they thought here, like Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, he was in this huge debate about Vaishnavas and Brahmanas, right? This huge debate. And the crowd were just surging forward to touch his feet. So the police had to hide Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, lock him up. Then what they did, they took his feet, they put in a bucket of water and threw the water over the public, right? So this is a different thing altogether. And to touch the feet of the elders is etiquette, right? This is etiquette.
okay, thank you, Mataji.
Yeah. how we greet somebody. So this is given in the first canto, I think, when the Pandavas, when Krishna met the Pandavas, right? He touched the lotus feet of Yudhishthir. He embraced Arjuna, and the two younger brothers touched the lotus feet of Krishna, right? So all this etiquette is given. And who did he shake hand with?
Arjuna and Bhima.
Shook hands. So this is also part of the culture, shook hand and embrace. Lord Brahma, right? He shook hand with Narayan when he had darshan of Narayan. He shook his hand. So it's part of everything. Se shane dhana prabhu gangate parila Nityananda Haridas Dhari Uthaila. Immediately he ran to the river Ganges and jumped in to counteract the sinful activities of that woman. Lord Nityananda and Haridas Thakur caught him and raised him from the river. Oh my God, so many things happen when you become a preacher, right? Purport. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is God himself. But he was playing the part of a preacher. Oh my God, the word is taken out of my mouth. Preacher. Every preacher should know that being allowed to touch a Vaishnava's feet and take dust may be good for the person who takes it, but it is not good for the person who allows it to be taken. As far as possible, this practice should ordinarily be avoided. Only initiated, here it is. That's why I said my Guru Maharaj said it, and here it is written. Only initiated disciples should be allowed to take this advantage, not others. Those who are full of sinful activities should generally be avoided. But that woman was a Brahmani, right? A wife of a Brahmana. But she was not, he or she was not surrendered to him. Anyway, whatever it is. Okay, Indra Radha, you would like to read?
Thank you. Text 246. Vijaya Acharyera Ghare Se Ratre Rahila Pratah Kali Bhakta Save Ghare Lana Jela. That night, the Lord stayed at the house of Vijay Acharya. In the morning, the Lord took all his devotees and returned home. Ekadina Gopi Bhave Grihete Pashiya Gopi Gopi Namalaya Vishanahana. One day, the Lord, in the ecstasy of the gopis, was sitting in his house, very morose and separation. He was calling Gopi, Gopi. Eka paduya ela prabhu ke dekhite, Gopi Gopi nama suni lagila balite. A student who came to see the Lord was astonished that the Lord was chanting Gopi Gopi. Thus he spoke as follows. Krishna nama na lao kene, Krishna nama dhanya, Gopi Gopi bali leva, kiba hai punya. Why are you chanting the names Gopi Gopi instead of the holy name of Lord Krishna, which is so glorious? What pious result will you achieve by such chanting? It is said, Vaishnavera Kriya Mudra Vigneha Na Bhujaya. No one can understand the activities of a pure devotee. A student or neophyte devotee could not possibly understand why Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was chanting the name of the gopis. Nor should the student have asked the Lord about the potency of chanting Gopi Gopi. The neophyte student was certainly convinced of the piety in the chanting of Krishna's holy name. But this sort of attitude is also offensive. Dharma vratta tyaga bhutadi sarva subha kriya samyam api pramadaha. To chant the holy name of Krishna in exchange for the achievement of piety is an offense. This, of course, was unknown to the student. Thus he innocently asked, "What piety is there in the chanting of the name Gopi?" He didn't know that there is no question of piety or impiety. The chanting of the holy name of Krishna or the holy name Gopi is on the transcendental platform of loving affairs. Since he was not expert in understanding such transcendental activities, his question was merely impudent. Thus, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, apparently greatly angry at him, reacted as follows.
Yeah, so see now this is turning point. Huh? This is a turning point in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes. So Mahaprabhu, like, as I said before, it's like Mahaprabhu is in the material world, at the same time he's in the spiritual world, right? So it's like he's between the two, and here comes these people, his students, they are young boys, his students, and they're so impudent, they're questioning him, right? They're questioning him. A student who came to see the Lord was astonished that the Lord was chanting Gopi, Gopi, because we say, we should chant Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. And here Mahaprabhu is chanting Gopi, Gopi, Gopi. So they became disturbed. He became disturbed. He said, "Why are you chanting Gopi, Gopi? Why are you chanting the names Gopi, Gopi instead of the holy name of Lord Krishna, which is so glorious? What pious result will you achieve by such chanting?" Right? So the student, I mean, it's really amazing. It's like here, he's just a boy, but he's questioning his teacher, his spiritual master, his teacher. I'll read this again. Read this again. So remember again, I was saying that how Mahaprabhu is living in two realms. One is a material and one is spiritual. And then there's clash. I said there's clash. So here comes those who are, okay, let's read it again. It is said, Vaishnavera Kriya Mudra Vigyeha na Bujhaya. No one can understand the activities of a pure devotee. Of course, a charlatan also can say, "You don't understand what I'm doing." Like Sahaja said, "You don't understand what I'm doing." Right? So therefore, you need to be learned, really truly learned, to understand what's going on. No one can understand the activities of a pure devotee. A student or neophyte devotee could not possibly understand why Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was chanting the name of the gopis, nor should the student have asked the Lord about the potency of chanting Gopi, Gopi. So it was just not the proper etiquette. The neophyte student was certainly convinced of the piety in the chanting of Krishna's holy name. But this sort of attitude is also offensive. Dharma vrata tyaga hutadi sarva shubha kriya samyam api pramadaha. To chant the holy name of Krishna in exchange for the achievement of piety is an offense. This, of course, was unknown to the student. So what pious result will you achieve by such chanting? You're chanting Gopi, what pious? So he's equating the chanting of Krishna's name with pious deeds.
Piety.
All right, with piety, we get it? So already that was his offense. Yeah. Thus he innocently asked, "What piety is there in the chanting of the name Gopi?" He didn't know that there is no question of piety or impiety. The chanting of the holy name of Krishna or the holy name Gopi is on the transcendental platform of loving affairs. Since he was not expert in understanding such transcendental activities, his question was merely impudent. Thus, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, apparently greatly angry at him, reacted as follows. So, he's a student, Student means that let me learn from the teacher instead of,
Challenging.
challenging him, right? Challenging and chastising him. Why are you chanting the names Gopi Gopi instead of, he's correcting Mahaprabhu, right? He's correcting Mahaprabhu. He said, instead of the holy name of Lord Krishna, which is so glorious, why are you chanting Gopi Gopi? What pious result will you achieve by such chanting? So this is how we lose the mercy of our spiritual master. Text 50. Yeah, who was reading? Indira. Yeah, you read?
Suni Prabhu Krode Kela Krishne do Sodgara Pengat Lana Utila Prabhu Paduyama Maribara. Hearing the foolish student, the Lord became greatly angry and rebuked Lord Krishna in various ways. Taking up a stick, he rose to strike the student. It is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam that when Uddhav came from Lord Krishna with a message for the gopis, all the gopis, especially Srimati Radharani, denounced Krishna in various ways. Such denunciations, however, reflect an exuberant, loving attitude that an ordinary man cannot understand. When the foolish student questioned Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Lord Chaitanya similarly rebuked Lord Krishna in loving exuberance. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in the mood of the gopis and the student advocated the cause of Sri Krishna, Lord Chaitanya was greatly angry. Seeing his anger, the foolish student, who was an ordinary atheistic Martha Brahman, foolishly misjudged him. Thus, he and a party of students were ready to strike the Lord in retaliation. After this incident, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu decided to take sannyas so that people would not commit offences against him, considering him an ordinary householder. For in India, even now, a sannyasi is naturally offered respect. He's so considerate, even though they were blaspheming him, he decides to take sannyas just to avoid the offenses against him.
Yeah, yeah. So here, so see, Mahaprabhu is not in material consciousness, right? He's absorbed in his lila with Krishna. So I say, oh, so here he was like in a different world altogether. So hearing the foolish student, the Lord became greatly angry and rebuked Lord Krishna in various ways. Taking up a stick, he rose to strike the student. Now, what we hear here. When Uddhav came from Lord Krishna with a message for the gopis, all the gopis, especially Radharani, denounced Krishna in various ways, right? And they criticize him. Such denunciations, however, reflect an exuberant, loving attitude that an ordinary man cannot understand. When the foolish student questioned Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Lord Chaitanya similarly rebuked Lord Krishna in loving exuberance. You follow what's happening?
Yeah.
When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in the mood of the gopis, and the student advocating the cause of Shri Krishna, Lord Chaitanya became greatly angry. Right? Remember this?
Krishna. Yeah.
You remember this Madhu came, right? This bumblebee came as a messenger.
Bumblebee. Yeah.
And oh my God, Srimati Radharani, Brahmagit, right? He criticized him, right? So, I mean, just see Mahaprabhu he's in that mood of the gopis, and his students are smarta brahmanas. All right? His students are smarta brahmanas. Just like this woman who touched Mahaprabhu's lotus feet, wanted to take the dust from his lotus feet. Mahaprabhu was dancing in ecstasy. So he's very attractive to the public. And the public is not qualified to understand what he is. Right? They're not qualified what he is. And they thought, oh, here is a great personality. If I touch his feet, my sinful reaction will go away. Right? And now we are seeing how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, seeing his anger, the foolish student who was an ordinary atheistic smarta brahmana, he's a boy, a brahmana boy, foolishly misjudged him. Thus, he and a party of students were ready to strike the Lord in retaliation. Actually, this happened after this incident. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu decided to take sannyas so that people would not commit offenses against him, considering him an ordinary householder. For in India, even now, a sannyas is naturally offered respect. You know, yeah, I'm reading one book. Amrita Radhe, you have a question, your hand is up.
Yes, Mataji. Can I ask now?
Okay, ask.
Mataji, the Brahmin boy, the student, was telling Mahaprabhu that why are you chanting Gopi Gopi? It's not, there's nothing pious in it. You should chant Krishna's name. But he himself was ready to beat Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who, if probably he didn't understand that who Mahaprabhu is, but at least Mahaprabhu was a Brahmin. So that time he forgot about whether it's a pious thing to do or not. So, I mean, is there some deeper meaning in this, or it's just how it is?
No, it's just the way the world behaves. Mahaprabhu's circle, his circle, he's a teacher, right? I mean, it's so unfortunate, it's pathetic actually. Here, in text 249, it is said, Vaishnavera Kriya Mudra Vigyeha Na Bhujaya. No one can understand the activities of a pure devotee. Mahaprabhu, he is not of this material world. And his supremely advanced devotee are not of this material world. All right, they are in the spiritual world. They are residents of the spiritual world, but they have appeared here. But they are dealing with ordinary people. So he became a teacher. All right. So when he's teaching, he's accepting students. Meaning, what type of students? Brahmanas, obviously. Right? Brahmanas. Because he will teach only Brahmanas. But these Brahmanas on Amrita Radha, can you put on your camera? I can't speak to a name. Okay. So God, I forgot what I was saying, you know.
He was teaching to Brahmanas.
Yeah, so he's dealing with Brahmanas, right? And the Brahmanas are supposed to be qualified to study whatever he's teaching, right? The Vedic literatures. But they are neophytes. And here Prabhupada is saying, the foolish student, was an ordinary atheistic smarta brahmana. Why atheistic? Because he believed that the Vedic literature is only meant to give me something, give me back this, right? Like all those millions of people who come to temples. Give me this, right? Even our most holiest all months, Kartik month, right? The holiest of all months. Like people, they're following their vrat, what for? For material gains. right? So it's only by Prabhupada's grace that we are understanding what is the meaning of Kartik. But even among us, ISKCON devotees, we don't know how much we are contaminated with this karma kand. We are smarta, right? What was your question?
No, I just was wondering about this Brahmana's attitude, that previously he was telling Mahaprabhu that this is not a pious thing to do, but then later when he got agitated, he was ready to beat up Mahaprabhu, forgetting about piety. So that was my question, like how suddenly he became like this. But I think what I drew from what you just said is that whatever services we do, we should do it with love, so that our eternal relationship with Krishna reawakens, instead of doing it for piety or whatever benefit. Instead of doing it for getting some benefit out of it, material or even spiritual, instead of that, we should do our services with the desire of loving Krishna, and then the relationship will get established. Is that correct understanding?
Yeah, and this his student here, he was a smart Brahmana. So in him, when he's approaching his teacher, his mood was, what can I get out from this teacher? Right? That was his mood. What can I get out from this teacher? And when his teacher doesn't, what we say, fit the bill, as we say, right? So he started criticizing him. He was showing that he knows better than his teacher. And this happened all the time. Right? So here Mahaprabhu, he thought that, I wanted to make this point that, so we see, in our own movement, when with this whole counselor system, mentee system, right? We say that counselors are not able to correct their students, their counselees or their mentees. They're not able to correct because they will revolt. They will revolt and push him or her out. So therefore, nobody wants to correct nobody, so they just give general classes. I was saying that I'm reading this book, Manashiksha, and the very first verse of Manashiksha by Raghunath Das Goswami. So he's saying that first thing in your spiritual life, the very first thing in your spiritual life is Guru, all right? And with so much, it's being elaborated by different, commentators, Urmila Mataji, Bhakti Vigyan Maharaj, Sachin Maharaj, Shivram. The point about this Guru is this. You are accepting a spiritual master so that he will find your faults and correct you. Because you cannot progress. You cannot progress if it's like a parent, right? Isn't it, Amrita Radhe? Now you have 2 children. Your whole life is going correcting them, right? Guiding them and correcting them. Isn't it? So a guru is for that purpose. Guiding and correcting and make the child move. But the day your child starts revolting against your authority, everything is over, right? So now this is what happened. This is what happened. The student is chastising the teacher and saying, you're not teaching us properly. You're not proper. Why are you chanting the names Gopi, Gopi instead of the holy names of Lord Krishna, which is so glorious? What pious result? What does it say? Krishna Naam Lalao Kene,
What
Krishna.
piety is there in chanting the name Gopi?
Yeah. Kiba Hai Punya. Kiba Hai Punya. What will you get? Kiba Hai Punya. What will you get? What piety punya will you get from chanting Gopi, Gopi? Right? Okay, let's read one last. I don't know whether we can stop.
Bhaye,
Okay, anyway,
uh,
let's read one last. Yes, read,
okay.
Anita.
Bhaye, bhaye palaya paduya, Prabhu pache pache daya, aste vraste bhaktagana, Prabhu re rahaya. The student ran in fear, and the Lord followed him. But somehow or other, the devotees checked the Lord. Hmm.
Let's read. Prabhure Shanta Kariya Nila Nija Ghare Paduya Palaya Kela Paduya Sabhare. The devotees pacified the Lord and brought him home, and the students ran away to an assembly of other students. Let's continue to read this because we've gathered momentum here. Paduya Paruya Sahasra Yahan Pare Ekathani Prabhura Vritanta Dvija Kahe Tahanya. The Brahmana student ran to a place where 1,000 students were studying together. There he described the incident to them. Just see. It's the university, right? The university. So one child chastised the teacher. And when the teacher raised the stick, he ran to the others. It's like now the whole universe is going to erupt. In this verse, we find the word Dvija indicating that the student was a Brahmana. Actually, in those days, okay, here Prabhupada is explaining. Actually, in those days, only members of the Brahmana class became student of the Vedic literature. Okay? Schooling is meant specially for Brahmanas. Previously, there was no question of schooling for Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, or Shudras. Kshatriyas used to learn the technology of warfare, and Vaishyas learned business from their fathers and other businessmen. They were not meant to study the Vedas. At present, however, everyone goes to school and everyone is given the same type of education, although no one knows what the result will be. The result, however, is not most unsatisfactory, as we have seen in the Western countries, especially. The United States has vast educational institutions where everyone is allowed to receive an education, but the result is that most students become like hippies. Higher education is not meant for everyone. Only selected individuals trained in Brahminical culture should be allowed to pursue a higher education. Educational institutions should not aim to teach technology, for a technologist cannot properly be called educated. A technologist is a Shudra, like all our AI now, all so-called universities are becoming technologists, AI technologists. And that's why they've been thrown out by US. They don't need them. So they put AI now, they're machines, right? So they're not required. So this is not education. A technologist is a Shudra. Only one who studies the Vedas may properly be called a learned man, Pandita. The duty of a Brahmana is to become learned in the Vedic literature and teach the Vedic knowledge to other Brahmanas. In our Krishna consciousness, Brahmanas who study
Oh my God.
just maybe they're doing something with the connection. I don't know what's
No,
going on.
yeah, you were frozen. Yeah.
Yeah. So it is a mistake to educate every student as a technologist. There must be a group of students who become Brahmanas. Without Brahmanas who study the Vedic literature, human society will be entirely chaotic. I'll continue, let me see. Okay, let's continue this because we won't be able to pick up from next week. Shuni Krodha Kaila Sabha Paruyara Gana Sabe Meli Kare Tabe Prabhura Nindana. Hearing of the incident, all the students became greatly angry and joined together criticizing the Lord. This is so typical. We always criticize our school. Sabadesha Bhrashta Kaila Ekala Nimani Brahmana Marite Chahe Dharma Bhainai. Nimai Pandit alone has spoiled the entire country, they accuse. He wants to strike a caste Brahmana. He has no fear of religious principles. Purport. In those days also the caste Brahmanas were very proud. They were not prepared to accept chastisement even from a teacher or spiritual master. I mean, just see, that's what I was saying. It is common in our whole ISKCON that devotees are not ready to accept chastisement. And exactly what's being described here is exactly what they do. You know, they will get together, they will gossip about you, and then they will chastise you, or they will just turn their back against you and walk out. Exactly this. Anyway, Kali Yuga students. Punha yadi aiche kare mari bhaktahare konva manusha hai ki karite pare. Now Mahaprabhu, he's not in his ordinary consciousness, right? If you look, he's not in his ordinary consciousness, he's in the mood of the gopi. So when he started chastising, he's in that other realm and it's clashing with the realm of this material world. Whereas here they are perceiving the reality different. And Mahaprabhu is in another consciousness, in inner consciousness. And he's behaving in inner consciousness in the material world. And these boys are looking at him and thinking, oh, he wants to strike a Brahmana, so let us strike him back. If he again performs such an atrocious act, certainly we shall retaliate and strike him in turn. What kind of important person is he that he can check us in this way? And what was the problem? What was the problem? Mahaprabhu was a householder. He's a grihastha, and these boys are also householders, so they're equal. Right? They didn't see him as superior. Right? They didn't see him as superior. Prabhura Nindaya Sabara Buddhi Hailanash Supathita Vidyakara Hai Prakash. When all the students thus resolved criticizing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, their intelligence was spoiled, finished. Buddhinash. Thus, although they were learned scholars, because of this offense, the essence of knowledge was not manifested in them. Okay, we'll continue next week because now I'll have to go into a whole explanation, but at least we've got this point. We'll remember. We'll remember what was the problem, which was expressed in the previous paragraph. Which verse was it? Text 250. So Mahaprabhu said, oh, okay, because we are equal. You know, I'm householder, they are all householders, we're equal. So they didn't hesitate. So we took a stick to say, oh, I'm a Brahmana. He took a stick to chastise me. So they gathered thousands of students and they wanted to attack the Lord. All right. So anyway, This is very, very important because if you get into the intricacies of how knowledge is transferred from the heart of the spiritual master to the heart of the disciple. So this is going to be very, very complicated. So we'll continue next week. All right, Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. And touch with the passing of the Krishna. Hare Krishna.